This year marked the 10th anniversary of Bob's death. And, you know, I'm sure that you look back on those years, but you say that he still talks to you. What does he tell you?
A lot of things, Tanya, and I must make a correction. In the statement of Bob being dead, it's sort of not real to me to accept that fact of the physical death, even though we are not seeing him in the physical, but we still have a relationship that still continues, and spiritually we communicate.
Now, I know people are going, and I don't want to cut you off, but you say you still have a relationship with this man who passed away in 1981, and a lot of people don't understand. What do you mean? I mean, do you talk to him? Do you feel that he talks to you through other people, or how does that happen? How does this relationship continue on?
Well, first of all, one has to have faith in the reality of reincarnation and the reality of life after death. That is, even though the flesh stands still and there's no breath in the body, but that life that God has given, which no one can take away, still exists. And if you put out that energy and that vibration, you find that you're able to communicate with people from generations.
From generations.
Yes.
But do you talk to him? I mean, do you wake up in the morning and say, well, Bob, this is what I'm doing today?
Hi, Bob. How are you today?
Really?
And sometimes you get that feeling that even a touch, even a smell, sometimes a smell is in the air that you can say, yeah, I know you're here, you know. And in Jamaica, we have a thing where we have some things like bat that we call, like, they say they use it for witchcraft, but sometimes they fly around. And it's a sign that when you see one comes into the house, it's someone that's
a
been
spirit
dead,
of someone who's coming in to check on you.
Right, and we have that all the time.
When you met Bob in the 60s, did you have any idea that this man was going to be so influential?
No, not at all.
How did you meet?
Well, it was through the media of music. You know, he had already been famous as a Wailers, the Wailing Wailers, and they lived in Trenchtown, where I lived at the time. And I was a teenager at the time, loved music, and was going through some training as a nurse in Jamaica. But then music was my main thing.
Yes, and at that time, I mean, the reggae music was just coming to the forefront, coming out of what had been known as ska, I guess.
Ska, yes. It was a ska era, rock steady to ska. So we didn't even touch reggae yet by then. You know, we were still into that era.
Now, you were a singer, and I heard that Bob was going by your house one day, and you just said, hey.
I can sing, yes. Yeah, it was just as easy as that, you know, and I said, I like you guys singing, and I can sing. Will you please listen to me one day? And well, Bob was really sort of like, don't speak to women, don't speak to girls. Peter and Bonnie was more like the jovial type.
Oh, Bob didn't want to speak to, oh, he was too, what was, he didn't.
I'm surprised.
Really? He was too serious? He was too serious about the music?
Very serious about his music and very into, because he's such a great songwriter that his attention and time was mainly about his music.
So what was it about Rita that really caught his eye and made him stop, and not only stop, but decide that you were going to be his wife?
I don't know. His mother said, I've heard her say it in interviews, that he had told her, it's my walking. So I don't know.
Your walk? One of those cute little walks?
She said he told her, it's the way she walks, Mommy. She walks and turns. So I said, oh, maybe it's my knock knees that's doing that turn.
Well, it was documented that Bob did believe in polygamy of sorts, and he had, what I believe, 11 children, 5 of which you shared together. As a young wife, how did you handle that? Well,
as a young wife, I didn't have that problem because it really didn't start in our earlier stage of marriage. You know, we got married in 1966, and at that point, we were like ordinary, normal people suffering in a society that was dominated by a certain class. So we were seen as the lower class of people. And it wasn't anything that was planned. It was just...
Was it the fame that drove all the women and the other women to him, really?
Oh, yes. That came with success, fame, and money.
Yes.
And that's quite recent.
Yes. How did you handle it, though?
Well, I don't know. I still I'm still dealing
You're
with it.
still dealing with
Still
it.
dealing with it, and it's just something that I've sort of made up my mind as to loving this man, and whatever he loves or whatever his beliefs are, I'm going to stick with it. You know, and so I find that even the children that's outside of the marriage, whenever he finds that this has happened, he would say, well, Rita, this girl is going to have a baby, or there's a baby that I want you to look at. Because I still have to give that thumbs up.
You still have to give the approval.
Yes.
You are a very special woman, Rita. We, of course, know that. We're going to take a break. More with Rita Marley right after this. Continuing with Rita Marley from Sunsplash. Yes. The I3s are back together again. I'll tell you, you ladies, first of all, you haven't changed very much at all.
No.
And you're still out there cooking. Still out there cooking.
Yes. We must carry on, Tanya, and it's with the determination and the willpower that, you know, because the missing Bob out of the musical scene has left a sort of frame that each time we go out and do the work that we usually do, that frame is filled again.
Yes.
And it not only benefits us as a group and a family, but the world. I mean, people who come to the concerts, you can see in appreciation, they feel the vibration of Bob.
You must have taken on, I mean, for you, it must be such a tremendous burden to try to continue this vision. You had once said that Bob was like a father to you. He protected you. How did all of the people around him respond when all of a sudden he wasn't there, and here you are, and you had to take over and took charge?
Well,
and it's not the kind of society, I know, where women are usually in that position.
No, it was not accepted, especially in Jamaica, where we have this man and woman situation where the woman is seen as stay in the kitchen and have the babies sort of thing. So it was, I became a target in a sense that everyone was now saying, what is she going to do, and how is she going to do what, you know?
Well, you did quite well. There's now a national holiday in honor of Bob Marley. I believe there's a stamp in honor of Bob Marley.
Yes, we have the museum. The Bob Marley museum.
All of these things in honor. Do you feel that it was difficult to bring this legacy or keep this legacy going?
It was, and it still is, Tanya, in terms of the struggle is not over. You know, it's one that Bob passed without making a will, and then there's a lot of legal litigation aspects, mothers having different opinions.
When you say the mothers, these are the mothers of the children?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that. Let's talk about that. What are we talking about in terms of the estate? What is it worth at this point?
Well, it's, as I always say, it's worth more than money. You know, it's something that you can't say the value in coin or currency. It's something that, because I've been with Bob working for this effort, I know that we weren't working for money. It wasn't sitting down to write songs for money.
But the money came, and there was a lot of it after a while.
A lot, yes.
And so now who are you fighting to get what you feel is rightfully yours?
Well, the fight is really among the administrators in terms of what decision is to be made, and the court order as to when someone dies without making a will, the decision is mainly left to the court.
Because it goes into probate.
Yes.
Now, what about the other children's mothers? Are they involved with this as well, or is it primarily you and your 5 children?
No, because in Jamaica the law is, quite recently they passed a law where children that's born out of wedlock is still seen and counted just as the ones that's in wedlock. So everyone has an equal share in the assets. And then the majority, which is my children and myself, we are saying we would not like to sell any of this musical asset. We would love to maintain this and keep it in the family. And then there are mothers who are saying, we have nothing to do with music, we want the money. So
how are you going to resolve that, Rita?
With the help of God. You know, we're working on it, and we have people like Chris Blackwell.
Are you close to a resolution at this point?
Yes.
That's good. That's good. When Bob started out, he embraced the Rastafarian movement. And just to clarify it, is this a musical movement, is it a political movement, or is it a religious movement?
It's a religion, and it's only identifying oneself as an African with an heritage from biblical days. As we see ourselves as the original people, the first people on earth were the black people, and we still maintain that level of standard by saying we want to go to Africa.
Right.
We believe our heritage is in Africa.
When he mixed religion and music together, he was met with resistance. There are stories, and I believe, if I'm correct, that you are today carrying a bullet wound in your head from where you were shot, and he was shot. What happened?
Well, that was mixing music and politics. That was political, you know, really political. And he was determined, even after that instance, that scene of shooting during the rehearsal, we still did the concert. You
were shot. People came in. This was another political party. And what did they came? Were they? I mean, was it like what we see in Gangland style? What happened?
Yes, it was a serious one. This one scares. I mean, this one is like you see death looking at you and say, "I'm here for you," and you're saying that I'm innocent. You're rehearsing, and somebody comes in and they try to blow you away. They just came in, and Bob stopped the rehearsal to eat a piece of grapefruit. And while he was having the grapefruit, the guys came in and we heard shots firing. So I said, well, is this Christmas or what? What time of the year is this? Why are they firing crackers? And when I looked, this guy was going straight at Bob with the gun. And some of these were friends too. It wasn't, you know, this was paid murder. So, well, fortunately for all of us, they didn't murder Bob, nor did they murder you, although you were both hurt. Yeah. Did you think about stopping at that time? No, as a matter of fact, we became more forceful and determined to really continue, because deep down within ourselves, we knew that our main purpose was for the people and the music. We had no political idea or interference. So then But you had a message, though. There was a message to that music. I want to talk about that when we come back. More with Rita Marley right after. Oh, yeah, I could sit here and jam to that as we continue with Rita Marley, who just happens to be the mother of Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers. I'd like to congratulate you because, boy, they're doing well. This Good Times is really climbing up the charts there. Yes, proud mama? Very much so, Tanya. And they're hardworking children. So it's like, as Ziggy says, there are many forces who would not like to see our dreams come reality. Yes. And sometimes when I listen to their lyrics and their singing, it makes me want to cry to know that they're for real, you know? And what they're singing about is what they're feeling. And it's not easy. Is it the same message? We were talking earlier about the message that your husband, your late husband Bob, was trying to project to the world. First of all, briefly, what was that message? And do you see Ziggy and the Melody Makers singing about the same message, or is it different today? Well, Bob's message still is. You know, I cannot see Bob being referred to in the past. Yes, you did say that. Yes. Because he's still very much with you. You talk to him every day. His lyrics, even in the nights, in the concerts, when I sing No Woman No Cry and songs from his catalog, it's like the people just love it. You know, it's all about love and peace, unity, strength, you know, and living in the struggle and surviving. Yes. You know? Do you see Ziggy as being the next Bob Marley? Is there a next Bob Marley? No, there is not. I don't think there will be another Bob Marley, but there will be a Ziggy Marley, for sure, in terms of Ziggy being independently with his brothers and sisters to do his job, their job. You know? Right, whatever that is, carrying that torch along. Yes. Well, you are doing your job again. We're really thankful that you're back out there on the concert circuit. You've been touring all over the country and, in fact, embarking on a world tour here. I heard, though, that the kids aren't really happy about you being out there. Is that true? No, that's very true. And I was so upset with Stephen. I called yesterday to talk to them in Jamaica, and he wouldn't speak to me. He said, Mommy, you should be home. They won't speak to you? What are you doing there? You should be home. So it's like they're not used to, or they won't accept the fact that this is the mommy that sings with Daddy for all these years. I was going to say, didn't they see all those videotapes that I saw? It's hard for them to accept that, but they're happy about that because they're looking forward to me being happy, and they know I've been going through a lot of hell, you know, and it's like, Mommy, have fun. don't do the books every day.
Is it easier or harder? You've had a wealth of experience behind you, a lot of years of experience. Getting back out there, doing what you're doing on the road and touring again, is it now less difficult for you or is it more difficult?
It's less difficult because I'm back to having fun on the road, and it's back to feeling like there will always be music, and there's nothing like music.
That's very true.
You know, it's a therapy that works for every human being. You know. You
have a 5-year-old too, though. That's a little different.
Sarita.
It's Sarita. Does Sarita get a chance to travel with Mom?
Yes, she does. She was on tour with Ziggy and them during the summer, and she teaches them steps, dances, and she dictates to them as to what they should not do and what they can do.
Right.
You know. So she's a part of the team. She fits in very well, and she came in a time when I needed that internal assurance of, that feeling of love and care that's been missing since Bob's departure. And I'm saying, well, God, if there's something that I need, it's to have one more baby.
And you did.
And I did.
Do you think that Bob approved of that?
Oh, yes.
You talked to him about that?
Yes, I had
Did he pick the father for him? For Sarita?
I think he did, too. I think he did, because it's all a family affair.
Okay.
You know?
So it's someone that you've known for a long time and you felt comfortable with.
Nobody knew, and someone who shares respect for Bob, you know.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear.
Yes.
Do you think that in talking to Bob, as you say you do regularly, do you think that you talk about your direction of your life? Do you think he feels good about the direction of your life now?
Well, not everything about it, because...
What wouldn't he feel good about right now?
The estate's problem that we're having, that is really... and I consider the things that he said, like even the day of May 11 before he passed, there was a lawyer who works with us, Diane. She was in the hospital, and he said to her, "No, if I don't make a will, what will happen?" And she said to him, "Well, it's like your wife and children will be the..."
For decades, Bob Marley has been celebrated as a global icon, a symbol of peace, love, and rebellion. But now, his own son, Ziggy Marley, is finally speaking out, and what he reveals might shock even the most loyal fans. Why did Ziggy stay silent for so long? And what does he really think about his father's legacy? This isn't just another tribute. This is the side of Bob Marley the world was never supposed to hear. Let's get into it. Ziggy Marley was only 12 when Bob Marley passed away, and he struggles with the burden of a legacy and a loss that lingers. Recently, Ziggy Marley has opened up about his father, revealing a childhood filled with violence and turmoil. Unlike many who remain silent about their painful pasts, Ziggy Marley finds it essential to share his experiences, as it offers a genuine glimpse into Bob Marley's character. One haunting memory stands out for Ziggy Marley. When he was just 8 years old, his life was turned upside down by gunfire. In December 1976, Bob Marley, along with his wife Rita and their children, survived a violent assassination attempt at their home in Kingston, Jamaica. The political climate in Jamaica was tense, and Bob Marley had become a symbol of peace and change, making him a target for some. On the night of the attack, Ziggy Marley and his siblings were taken from their beds and whisked away to a safe location in the hills. Although it was frightening, Ziggy Marley recalls feeling a sense of excitement amidst the chaos. This traumatic experience left a lasting impact on him, as his parents narrowly escaped death. Bob Marley was shot in the chest and arm, while Rita was shot in the head. Just 2 days later, despite their injuries, Bob Marley and Rita performed at the Smile Jamaica concert, which aimed to promote unity in a divided nation. For Ziggy Marley, this moment was not just a display of bravery as portrayed in the media. It was deeply personal and frightening. It shaped his understanding of Bob Marley not only as a father, but also as a target, a fighter, and a symbol of resistance. He came to realize that their home was not merely a place of reggae and peace, but a political battleground where he witnessed his parents endure, perform, and resist, even with their wounds still fresh. Until now, Ziggy Marley had seldom discussed that night in such candid detail, but the emotional burden of his father's legacy has compelled him to stop upholding the myth. He is finally facing the truth and sharing what it was like to grow up under constant pressure while the world celebrated a hero, the fighter behind the legend. People adore my father, but he had a violent side. He was a fighter, Ziggy Marley states plainly. This is a facet of Bob Marley that is rarely acknowledged by the public. While the world remembers the visionary with dreadlocks singing about love and unity, Ziggy Marley is now unveiling the man behind that message, a man shaped by hardship. His life was much more complex than the peaceful figure often romanticized in posters and documentaries. For Ziggy Marley, the reality was never that straightforward. Yes, Bob Marley sang about peace, but he lived in conflict, both internally and externally, growing up in the tough streets of Trenchtown. Bob Marley's environment required more than just talent. It demanded resilience to survive. That's where he learned to stand firm, not only for himself, but for everything he believed in. The nickname Tough Gong was not merely an artistic persona. It was a street name earned through experience. It reflected Bob Marley's toughness, his ability to stand his ground, and his reputation for not backing down. Ziggy Marley embraces that image and is breaking the silence to reveal the complete truth. Bob Marley wasn't gentle, he wasn't just spiritual. He was marked by his experiences and sometimes expressed that as aggression. Ziggy Marley witnessed this firsthand. Bob Marley's restlessness extended beyond the studio or stage. At home, he was intense, focused, and driven. The energy that fueled his music needed an outlet, and when the guitars were set aside, it often went into sports, boxing, football, running, anything that involved movement and competition. Ziggy Marley remembers it being a significant part of his life growing up around Bob Marley. He loved sports and was very athletic, but it wasn't just for fun. It was a way to channel his energy. Even when Bob Marley visited Ziggy Marley's primary school, he would join in on the football games, playing with or against the kids. He was quick and had a powerful kick. Ziggy Marley chuckles. This image of Bob Marley chasing a football across a schoolyard may seem at odds with the iconic prophet that millions revere. But for Ziggy Marley, it was authentic. It was grounding, though that authenticity came with its own pressures. As Bob Marley's fame increased, so did the expectations and the crowds. Ziggy Marley recalls the burdens his father faced, with people constantly demanding his time, attention, money, and loyalty. The calm demeanor Bob Marley displayed on stage often contrasted with his private struggles, particularly in football, which helped him clear his mind. Ziggy Marley describes it as his way of finding relief, but even sports couldn't always alleviate the pressure, as Bob Marley was not only supporting the world, but also grappling with issues at home, especially in his marriage to Rita. Their relationship was complex, marked by love, loyalty, jealousy, and betrayal. After years of silence, Ziggy Marley is now candid about what he observed between his parents, rejecting the notion of a romanticized love story. Instead, he portrays a challenging and tangled partnership that endured infidelity, fame, illness, and changing dynamics. Bob Marley fathered children with several women, a fact that was public knowledge, but the impact on the family was less visible. Rita remained by Bob Marley's side, not just as his wife, but as a crucial figure in both his personal and professional life, managing his schedule and performing with him. In the final stages of his life, as his health deteriorated, she became his caregiver. Ziggy Marley expresses the pain of witnessing the emotional and spiritual toll on his mother, stating, "She killed him emotionally and spiritually." This reflects the grief of a son who saw love and pain coexist in their home, burdened by unresolved issues, unspoken betrayals, and a gradual loss of trust between two people who struggled to let go. Rita also had her own affairs, while Bob Marley was notoriously unfaithful, yet a sense of loyalty persisted despite the betrayals, a loyalty that outlasted love, even when it had faded. Ziggy Marley notes that Bob Marley was possessive of Rita, not wanting other men to even glance at her, despite his own lifestyle of fleeting relationships. This double standard created a toxic dynamic in their relationship. When Bob Marley's health worsened, Rita rose to the occasion, providing support during the most challenging times. According to those close to the family, she managed the stress, chaos, and emotional burden in his final days. The romance they once shared had long dissipated, leaving behind a sense of duty, shared history, and a deeper connection. Ziggy Marley's honesty offers a fresh perspective on how the world perceives his parents, emphasizing that Bob Marley wouldn't have been who he was without Rita, highlighting the unique nature of their bond. Their partnership was forged through music, survival, and compromise. While it may not have embodied the ideal of love, it was genuine and lasted until Ziggy Marley finally shared that truth with the world. It wasn't flawless or tranquil, but it functioned for a time until love and loyalty could no longer protect them. Ziggy Marley witnessed his family disintegrating in the wake of the assassination attempt. After the shooting in Kingston, Bob Marley escaped to London, where he found solace and the opportunity to process the turmoil of Jamaica in the quiet of 42 Oakley Street in Chelsea. The threats to his life and the unyielding grip of politics had left him both physically injured and emotionally exhausted. London provided him with a rare chance for peace. In that refuge, far from Kingston's chaos, he composed one of his most uplifting songs, "Three Little Birds," with its message of optimism. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is going to be all right. This song became an anthem of reassurance for many. However, for Ziggy Marley, those lyrics carried a more complex significance as his siblings remained in Jamaica, grappling with the aftermath of the attack and adjusting to life without their father. At just 8 years old, Ziggy Marley was managing school and daily life in a home forever altered by violence, while Bob Marley was in London dealing with his own trauma. Ziggy Marley doesn't express bitterness about that time, but his tone reflects a quiet acceptance. When you look back, you can feel sad, but in that moment, you have to do what you have to do, he says. I had to go to school. There was a lot happening, so you just carry on. The distance between father and son was not only physical, but emotional as well. Ziggy Marley didn't grow up in constant communication with Bob Marley. There were long periods when his father was on tour, or, like during this time in London, living in a completely different world. Even when Bob Marley was present, he was rarely just a dad. He was Bob Marley, a global icon and revolutionary musician. For a child, such a significant presence can create a peculiar sense of absence. Ziggy Marley doesn't place blame or pass judgment, but for the first time, he is expressing what has long been unspoken. Bob Marley was absent when it truly mattered. This painful truth, often hidden, has influenced Ziggy Marley's life in ways he is still coming to terms with. While Bob Marley's move to London led to the creation of iconic music, it also emphasized the growing distance from his children. The world gained 3 little birds, but Ziggy Marley experienced the loneliness of a boy waiting for his father to return. This sacrifice, whether intentional or not, impacted both of their lives. Now, Ziggy Marley is finally recognizing the cost of that absence. It didn't break him, but it compelled him to evolve into something different, strong, independent, and shaped by the legacy of a legend, navigating his own journey alongside his father's shadow. Ziggy Marley has achieved 8 Grammy Awards and is a husband, father of 4, philanthropist, and respected musician. However, no level of success has allowed him to fully escape his father's influence. The Marley name carries a vast legacy, and even Ziggy Marley's accomplishments can feel like a continuation of that story. He now resides in Los Angeles, far from his roots, yet he still speaks with the same Trenchtown accent that characterized Bob Marley's voice. He embodies the tone, rhythm, and cultural significance, along with the burden of expectation. Every performance he gives is, in some way, still on Bob Marley's stage, and every mention of Ziggy Marley inevitably brings up his father. He acknowledges that there is an expectation for him to perform Bob Marley's songs at live events, and he is more than willing to do so. Ziggy Marley is not resentful of the comparisons, but now that he has broken the silence, it is evident that honoring a legacy and living under it are two distinct experiences. At times, he embraces this connection, having done entire tours dedicated solely to his father's music, not out of obligation, but as a tribute. Yet the emotional impact is significant. These songs represent more than just music to him. They are reminders of a relationship that ended too soon. One song in particular resonates deeply with him, Redemption Song. He explains that it was prevalent around the time of Bob Marley's passing, serving as the backdrop for both public mourning and personal loss. Even decades later, Ziggy Marley feels like a reflection of the man the world continues to admire. Fans seek not only his music, but also a sense of continuity. He acknowledges this with grace, yet also with a candidness that reveals the challenges of balancing his own identity with the legacy he has inherited. It's a tragic situation, not in a sensational way, but in the quiet sorrow of a child witnessing his father's decline, not peacefully, but amidst chaos, stress, and the wrong influences. Until now, Ziggy Marley had kept his thoughts to himself, but he remains optimistic that the world will finally recognize the real Bob Marley through his honesty and a new film that aims to depict him as more than just a legend, but as a man with genuine struggles, emotions, and resilience. By sharing this story, Ziggy Marley is expressing himself in a way he never has before, using film to convey what words could not. He believes Bob Marley would have appreciated the outcome, laughing proudly. Bob Marley always had a desire to create films, including a Western, which underscores how much of his character was obscured by his legendary status. One Love, featuring Kingsley Beer as Bob Marley and Lashana Lynch as Rita, seeks to explore these lesser-known aspects. It goes beyond the music and tours, examining the struggles, personal contradictions, and relationships that influenced Bob Marley's life. It depicts not just a reggae icon, but a man grappling with his own internal conflicts while bearing the hopes of a nation. Ziggy Marley believes there are many facets of his father that people are unaware of, and he hopes viewers will connect with those aspects. This connection is what matters most to Ziggy Marley. For years, he has seen the world engage with his father through posters, playlists, and slogans. However, the man who uttered those final words in the hospital, "On your way up, take me up, on your way down, don't let me down," was far more complex than any single narrative could convey. For Ziggy Marley, this film is not about making money or gaining recognition. It's about preserving legacy, asserting control, and reclaiming the story before it becomes mythologized. The project compelled Ziggy Marley to confront some of his most painful memories. Revisiting the script and reliving significant moments of his father's life through actors and staging was emotionally challenging, yet essential. He notes that while living with memories is one thing, sharing them on screen with the world is another. Ziggy Marley has taken a significant step towards revealing the truth about Bob Marley, not just as a musician, but also as a father, partner, and imperfect human being. Although the film is called One Love, it truly focuses on one life as told by someone who understood him in ways that others could not. This may allow Ziggy Marley to find some healing from the absence he has felt throughout his life. The burden of that absence is heavy. What Ziggy Marley misses most is not fame or lost wisdom, but the presence of his father. He recalls how much fun Bob Marley was and how he accomplished more than Ziggy Marley ever could. Bob Marley's impact will last forever, and Ziggy Marley longs for everything about him, especially the emotional presence that was missing, which has left a lasting mark on the world. Bob Marley is remembered as a timeless revolutionary and musical icon, but for Ziggy Marley, his father never had the chance to become the man he could have been. The loss is not just of a parent, but of a relationship that barely had the chance to develop. Ziggy Marley didn't have the opportunity to strengthen their bond, learn from him, or rely on him during life's challenges. What was taken from him was more than just a figurehead. It was the everyday presence of a father. Even now, when he visits his mother's home, Bob Marley's music fills the air as if he never left. Ziggy Marley shares that when he doesn't miss his father, he listens to his music, which serves as a ritual to keep his memory alive, though it never truly fills the emptiness. Ziggy Marley feels that his father never really vanished. His presence lives on within him. He can sometimes see and feel his father's influence in his own actions. However, feeling that presence is not the same as having it, and there will always be a gap that music, legacy, or time cannot completely bridge. Occasionally, when Ziggy Marley performs at places like the Santa Barbara Bowl, he experiences a strange sense of déjà vu, imagining that his father once stood in the same spot. He reflects on what it must have been like for Bob Marley to perform there. Ziggy Marley's silence was not due to a lack of words, but rather the difficulty of expressing himself when the world believes it already knows his story. Now that he has finally shared his feelings, the reality is quite straightforward and heartbreaking. Ziggy Marley didn't just lose his father, he lost the potential for a future and had to mature in an environment shaped by a public perception of Bob Marley rather than the father he truly knew. Do you believe Ziggy Marley has made the right choice in revealing a different perspective of Bob Marley to the world? Share your opinions in the comments. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.